Everybody, it's Omar. It is April 18th, 2018, 8:03 p.m. in the evening, and I wanted to make a video building my watch list for tomorrow. I am more than likely not going to be able to trade, but I wanted to build a watch list anyway just for you guys. Maybe I will, who knows. More than likely, though, I'll be too busy at work. I've been busy all week. I was, depressed because I've been tracking I for that big wash that I posted today on Twitter, and we got the actual wash. Actually, let me update this because it's on my watch list too. And we got that. I told you that I thought it was gonna finish red today, and it did. It had this crazy wash, and then you just bounce. It should not be bouncing like that. There's some manipulation. There's something going on with I. But so here's my watch list, and I'll review it in a sec. Just so honestly, this is the criteria that I'm using to like look for stocks. Under $50, 3%, current volume over 1 million. There's so many plays, like it's crazy. Like this watch list could be 10 times bigger than what it is. I don't have the time to go through each stock and then find the best setup, but these are good setups for tomorrow. So you can always do your own due diligence and track your own trades and all that good stuff. So first up, I'm gonna start with NM. The reason why this is on my watch list is because it's had 3 green days. But if you look at the overhead resistance, let me pull up the big chart because I know you guys can see things better there. So, it's had this run, and, its daily average is 913,000 shares, but it's at 2.4 million shares traded today. So, it's up from 78 cents to 94 cents. That's 19%. Now, if I pull up the 1-year chart, right, we want to track the history of this chart, right? It's a dog shit company, right? I think this is one of the shippers. Now, I just put an alert here at this level. Now, people ask me, where do you mark support resistance? Wherever you see a lot of consolidation, that is going to be a clear support level, all right? So if you notice, there's a lot of consolidation here at this. If you look, it says 101, it says 102, like 102. So in this 101 to like 106 level, there's a lot of consolidation. So what I would love to see tomorrow happen is I would love to see the stock break $1. All right, so I'm hoping that tomorrow it breaks $1 and it gets to that resistance point and gets rejected, and then you can short risking off this one, risking 101 or 106, and you should see a big tank. This is a piece of shit company. There's no reason why it should be up. I don't know. It probably had some news. I'm not even sure what caused it to go up. Announces availability. What does it say? This was 2 days ago. Visibility of its Form 20F of the year. I don't even know what the hell that even means. Cuts from underweight from neutral, downgraded. This is old news. I don't even know. But basically, that's what I want to see. So if it doesn't get to this level, I wouldn't even suggest looking at it. But that's why it's on my watch list. And with E-Trade, once a stock breaks $1, it's $1 or more, you can actually short it if there's shares available. Also about the trade zero comment that I made. So the reason why that whole situation happened for me, because I was hearing some rumblings that they were gonna open in America. So I just went to their website and I asked, the guy who's actually responsible for opening Trade Zero in America actually called me, and we started talking, and then he asked me a lot of questions about what I knew, and then I showed him my Twitter and my YouTube. So he actually wants to like meet with me. I don't know, to discuss what, but in the next week or two, he said we're supposed to set up a meeting in Manhattan, and I'm gonna sit down and talk to him about what I think would make his brokerage work here in America. So I'll keep you posted, but it is gonna be like E-Trade and Thinkorswim in the sense that it's an American company, so obviously they gotta follow the PDT rule. Because it's not going to be like based in the Bahamas. That's how they avoid the PDT. a lot of these brokerages, but it's going to be an American-based company. He actually did tell me he's not going to have clearance through Vision like Centerpoint, but he said that his shorts available, the shorts that are going to be available, are going to be better anyway because he has a lot of relationships and he'll be able to get shorts from several different brokerages. So he says it'll have the best locates of any brokerage. He guaranteed me that. So, I don't know what commissions are. I don't know any of leverage or any of that stuff. I'll find out more. I have a feeling that because I told him what I did and everything for a living, I have a feeling he's going to try to offer me a job. So, I don't know. That's the way he kind of, the conversation kind of went without saying it. But we'll see what happens. I'll keep you all posted. It could be all bullshit, but we'll see. But it's supposed to launch in May, and we'll see. All right, next up, VTVT. VTVT, this thing squeezed. It was on my watch list today. I didn't really call it out, but hopefully you knew that, if it broke yesterday's high and held, you go long. And look, just to confirm, don't buy the breakout, let's pull up the big chart. I like to always make sure I'm teaching you guys the right thing. So I'm gonna do a 5-day 1-minute chart, right? So you guys know that had I made a watch list yesterday, I would have told you to buy the breakout at 168 if it broke and held, right? This is what I'm talking about. Look what happens here. The stock breaks out, right, when the market opens today. It actually, dipped below, closed below that high, right? Closed around here. You had the consolidation here in pre-market, and then boom, you got the crazy rip, right? And you got this flag pattern, so it gaps up, it pulls back, it's right above VWAP. So a lot of people bought it here, right? And they were lucky that they didn't get stuffed. Like it had so much volume that it broke that 168. But I always tell everybody don't buy the breakout. So me personally, I probably wouldn't have bought the breakout. Maybe, I don't know. I have to see how the momentum was in the level 2. But more than likely, I would have waited because look what happens. It gaps up, right? Pulls back, and look what it holds. 168, and look what happens, and then it runs. That's when the smart buyers buy. You buy here, you don't buy the breakout. You want to see it pull back and test the breakout level because resistance now becomes support, and that's when everybody got really confident. And this thing took a gapped up, pulled another flag, consolidated here at this $2 level because $2 is a psychological resistance barrier. So when it held $2, took off. I actually, for a second, I didn't post it on Twitter, but I literally caught it. Where was it when I caught it? Yeah, I caught it right around here, and I was gonna post. This is why a momentum shift's about to take place, but I didn't post anything. But I actually saw the momentum shifting. It was interesting. So anyway, for tomorrow, now what's interesting about this stock is, let me pull up the big chart. What's interesting about this stock is that this stock literally has a gap to fill here at this 335 level. So it would be interesting. I think that if it does get to 335, that's when the crash will happen. Actually, no, I'm lying. Not 335, 322. Sorry about that. 322. So in theory, tomorrow it could run again. It could squeeze shorts. What's causing this is short squeeze. That's it. That's why it's getting traded. That's why you got all this crazy volume. Now, the thing is, it traded a total of 29 million shares. So it's going to need a lot of volume to get to that 322 level. But the potential is there tomorrow. What I would love to see is if it got there, once it filled the gap, you're probably going to see a rejection and a tank. Now, I don't know if it's going to get there, but it's possible. And, if I'm seeing this, other people are seeing this. So I would be looking at a few levels. Obviously, if it breaks 267 and held it, you take it long, risking 267. There's two other areas that I would be looking at here, 226 and 198 for potential dip buys. Not because not every broker is gonna have shares to short. So for me, those are the areas I'm looking at. Why? Because I see the consolidation here. You see, you see the candle, the low 226. 226, that's why I marked it. You see, a lot of consolidation here. All right, and then there's, look at that big volume candle held at 198, and it's a little bit of consolidation here. So that's a key level. Those are key levels. And then 168 is another key level here, so you could potentially buy a dip at 168 as well. All right, so those are the key levels that you would look at. You can short these rejections, or you can dip buy if they break above or hold. All right, so look tomorrow. This is gonna be probably the biggest traded stock tomorrow, more than likely, VTVT. And remember to look at that overhead resistance of 322. All right, because if it gets there, it's probably gonna get cracked right there. It's gonna get smacked down. Okay, so next up, IZEA. IZEA. This is probably a chat room pump. I would be surprised if this was Warrior Trading or Deckmark Trades pumping this shit, and it gaps up and then tanks. It probably was a chat room pump. I have no clue. Now, the interesting thing about IZEA, if we go back 1 year, right? Let's pull up the 1 year chart. This is a stock where when it has a run, it can run multiple days. Like back in September of last year, it went from 2 to 4. It closed at 320. The next day, it went from 4 to 6. It closed at 485. The next day, it went from 5 to 7, closed at 662. And it just kept gapping. It just kept squeezing shorts every day. And eventually it tanks because, it's a dog shit company like all of them do. And they all should tank. But tomorrow, I mean, in theory, it can happen again. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict the stock. But the one thing you do got to keep in mind is that there is a lot of overhead resistance. You see in a lot of consolidation here at this like 415 level and at this 369 level. So, in order for it to run, it has to. Last time it broke here, there was there was no overhead resistance here. That's why. I mean, we can go back further in the chart history to see. Let me go back 5 years. Let's see. Well, you know what? Yeah, 5 years ago when it did this run, you see how it got up to 8, and and look right in this $8 level. You see all this resistance. That's where it got rejected. You see, a lot of resistance. It couldn't hold. It could never hold. So, look what happened. It just gets smacked down because there's so much resistance here. And that's what short sellers, that's what guys like me, Tim Grattani, Steven Ducks love to do. Look for stocks that gap up and they short right into the resistance, risking the resistance level. So much consolidation here. It's just so hard for it to break above it. We need a lot of volume to break it. So just be mindful of that. But tomorrow, in theory, let's pull up the 5-day, 5-minute. You can see another rip. So if this broke above 320 and held, you could take it long. Now, I would be very careful if you take it long at 320. Just hit it and quit it. Just just watch it gap up, watch that momentum, and get out. Don't hold this because this can see how it went up and tanked. You know how many people got caught in this. You know how many Warrior Trading students and probably Deckmark Trade students, Tim Site students got crushed here, and they don't post that shit. They only post when they win. So just be careful. I would look to buy the breakout if it held 320, or potentially dip buy it there if it held. Otherwise, the next two key levels are 288 and 260 for me for potential dip buys. Otherwise, stay away from it. All right. But you can see what happens because obviously look, it found its support here 260 and then it ran. And then watch this. Let me pull up the 5-day, 30-minute chart. 260, look what 260 was. It was a support level back in, so this was the higher day, pretty much. It was 262 back in 4.4. That's why people bought. That's why you have to look at a bigger time frame, guys, to know where support and resistance is. That's what stock trading is, guys. It's support and resistance. Don't believe all this other bullshit that people tell you. Next up is TLGT. TLGT, now this is up. This stock is, another dog shit company that, let's pull up the 1 year so you can see, it's up. So it's had a couple of green days, but look what's interesting here. It has so much overhead resistance here in this 360 level that my guess is, see 366, 365. So in this between 360 and 370, there's so much overhead resistance that my guess tomorrow is you can actually take a short, risking the higher day. I don't know if it's gonna break, but maybe it breaks above it and breaks below it. But once it breaks below 364, 365, short it. And I think it's it should be easy. Yeah, it's easy to borrow with Thinkorswim, so it's gonna be available everywhere. I don't think this thing continues high. I think this thing tanks. So there's three levels: 365, 364, 365, 350. You could potentially dip by it if it held, but otherwise short it, and then 330 for potential dip by, otherwise short it. But I think tomorrow this thing tanks and gets back to $3. That's my guess. And also, right? Also, why do I think that? Because it has a gap to fill below, and the gap to fill below is at 306. So this is gonna get crushed, in my opinion. So it's got all that overhead resistance. I don't think it's gonna be able to break that 365 level. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, in theory, if it did and it broke and it got all the way up to 417 and held it, there is no overhead resistance. There has a gap to fill above, but I don't think it's gonna get up there. But we'll see. I mean, anything's possible, right? Nobody really knows what a stock is gonna do. So that's my analysis on that. ESV. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I get issues with this Thinkorswim charting lately. Now, the reason why this is on my watch list is because look, it's just been on a green day tear, right? Not really any real profit taken. But when you look at the stock, it has a lot of overhead resistance here in this 350 area, right? 356 literally is 357 and 356. Is literally where it's touched a few days. So in my mind, I'm thinking tomorrow that this stock, if it breaks above 615 and holds, take it long. But I would think at that 650, 660 level, 656 level, it's gonna get rejected and it's gonna be a great short. So this is a stock that you could take long when it breaks above 615 and take it short when it gets rejected into resistance above, and you can risk resistance. That's all I do, guys. That's all it is. All right, and potentially if people take profit in the market open, you could potentially dip by it at 597 or 588 because there's a lot of support areas here. Now, in theory, you could potentially dip by it here at 573 or even below here at 567 and then watch it run. But these are the areas that I'm interested in. Otherwise, I wouldn't play it. All right, next up is I. Now, I hope you guys paid attention. And let's review I. I said I want to look to short a morning spike, right? I didn't get to play this, unfortunately. But I was telling everybody to do that. So let's see what happened when the market opened, right? So here, right, you have some... this was yesterday, right? So obviously you have some support here. You have a lot of resistance here in this 860 level, right? You also have some resistance here in like this also in this 882 level. So you see this consolidation right in here. So that's another level you could risk off of. And then you have some right here, some overhead resistance here. There's a consolidation at this 898 level, right? 898 also, as well as this 906 level. Well, let's see what happened. The market opens, spikes up into that area, 898, 906. And what did happen? Got rejected and completely fucking tanked. That's all you had to do, guys, was watch the candle, and it was in a 1 minute time frame. So you see that 1 minute boom, and then it just completely tanked. Right in this area, you could have took it short, risking this level or the previous day's close price if you really want to, because that also acts as a resistance point. That's what you could have made a lot of money banking, shorting this down, all the way down. And then, and then look what happened. It found support at this 807 level, and then it just ran up. It just went for another run tear. Now, why did it bounce off that? Because if you look at a bigger time frame, there was a lot of consolidation here at this 807, like this $8 level. Look, if you look at the lows, at 808, 808, 807, 809, 808, 806. There was a lot of consolidation in that level. So it bounced off there. No, that's all trading is, support and resistance. And then you could have dip bought it. Because when you get a panic like this, you're going to get a bounce. Sometimes you get big bounces like this, and sometimes you get little bounces. But if you get a massive panic like this, you're going to get a bounce. Because short sellers that are driving the price of the stock down here are going to cover their shares. And then dip buyers are going to drive the price of the stock up. And then when you see this doji like this, either when it's going up, spiking high or low, that means a trend reversal is usually taking place. All right. That's called a dragonfly doji. I'm sorry, a gravestone doji. That's what I'm sorry. That's what I'm. All right. So these are the levels. So for tomorrow, I'm sorry, I didn't even redo my analysis. So for tomorrow, I mean, be careful, man. This thing may get halted because it's just going, 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 going. I don't know. Be careful. But what I would look to see to do tomorrow is, I do not think this is gonna break 970. But who knows? The way this has been running, this can keep running. But what I would love to see again is tomorrow. See it hold. See if it's gonna break above. Now I have my resistance point here set at 930. But obviously you can set. There's a lot of consolidation here too at this 919 level. If you notice here, right around this 919 level. So I would love to see it gap up and then get rejected into one of these levels and then take it short. And then see if it breaks red tomorrow and then watch another tank. That's what I think is going to happen tomorrow. Now, is that what's for sure going to happen? I don't know. But my guess is tomorrow it's going to get rejected into one of these resistance levels. And that's where you're going to take it short. So just keep that in mind. All right? Just keep that in mind. Okay? All right. Next up, OAS. I didn't mark anything here. But what I would tell you guys is oil's running. This is an oil stock. It's going crazy. I would mark your overhead resistance just to see where this is gonna pull back in some resistance point overhead, and you could take it short. Or you could buy a dip if it gaps down. I'm not gonna do it right now in real time, but you can take a look at it. But watch OAS because it has a gap to fill below, and this stock always gives back its gains. So if oil is red tomorrow, then expect tomorrow for this to tank, and you can short it, risking off a breakdown of a good support level. Like for example, 1020. If it broke below 1020, you can actually short it there, risking 1020 or risking higher day. Even here, there's a lot of support at 1014. If it can't hold 1014, you can short risking off that level too. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Next up, BBBY. I told you guys, go back to my Twitter if you think I was lying. I told you guys the day this thing tanked, which was this day, which was on the 11th. If you don't believe me, go back and look at my timeline. I said that this is the type of stock that you buy and put in your IRA, like long term, because it should fill the gap above. It tanked because it had bad revenue earnings. Now, what I want to see tomorrow, what I like about this is that, right? I don't think it's gonna fill the gap tomorrow, but what I love to see is stock like this, and these are the key support resistance levels. I would love to see it gap up and get rejected either by 1832 or the next level above 1861. Or, I didn't map here, or in the 1897, and then take a short, risking off one of those levels. So right now, it's currently, let's see, it's currently 1806. Obviously, if it broke above and held, one of these levels, you could take it long, risking the next support level. But me personally, I would just be watching this like a hawk to stalk it to see how high it can go, and if it hits one of these key levels of resistance to short, risking off of. That's my favorite thing to do. Now, eventually, what you want to see is, because eventually it'll probably get all the way up, and once it breaks 1924 here, this shit is gonna run all the way up to $20. That's when you go long and hold this, and you swing this long till it fills the gap up at $22. So keep a side eye on Bed Bath & Beyond, and I like the store. I hope it stays in business. All right, next up, FCX, another one of these mining companies. I've traded this several times. I love shorting this. Now, what got me really interested in this stock is, let's pull up the 1 year. It gapped up today, right? So it has a gap to fill below, and that gap to fill below is at $18. I'm not saying that tomorrow's going to go to $18, but usually, when a stock has a gap, it eventually fills the gap. Now, what has me super interested is, look at this overhead resistance here. Look at all this consolidation here. There's so much consolidation here at this like 1930 level, 1930, 1940 level. You do have some in the 1960s, but there's so much consolidation here that in my mind, I would be looking to to see once if it could get to that 1940, 1950 level, see it get rejected it but into overhead resistance. Now let me do this 180 day 20-minute. Let's see. Yeah, so you see right in this level here, look at all this consolidation here. This 1930 level, and then here this 19 in this 1950 level. So my guess is tomorrow you can actually, it may not even break 1936. It may just, you could like maybe at the open this shit just washes and you can short it risking that level, because it has so much overhead resistance that, you know, it would need a lot of value to break it. It could, but I don't think it will. So you know, you can risk one of all those levels. Now if it pulls back and held 1920 or 1894, which is the previous support levels below, you could dip by it there. And maybe because, you know, gold is still running, so, you know, people just taking some profit, but they're bullish on it, and you can, you know, take it long, risking off one of these key levels if it held. Now if it doesn't hold 1894, I think that, you know, this thing will tank and get back to $18. All right, so it's just something to think about. Good technical chart to trade. Now what I also love to do is run a scan for the biggest losers, and I love, this is another strategy. So just like my you know, when I talk about my first red day after my first red day, well, this went red, and it's, you know, it's kind of had a run. Now what I love to see, and you guys all know this if you watch my first day after red day strategy, is tomorrow ICHR. What I would love to see happen is, let me pull up the big chart, because I would love to see this stock gap up and get rejected into one of these key resistance areas. Matter of fact, 2 days ago I put ACIA on my watch list. It was exactly like this, where it was a stock that, you know, dropped in price tremendously, and I said short into resistance, and if you did your homework and tracked it, it actually gapped up and got rejected into resistance. As a matter of fact, let me pull up that chart real quick before I go over this chart, just to show you guys. So this was the day that had the big tank, and I didn't make a watch list of it, but I told you short into resistance. Well, sure enough, when the market opened, let me do the 5-day 1 minute. There he goes. Right, so if you listened to me and mapped your overhead resistance points like 2750, I'm sorry, 2666, 2685, 2597, 2472. Well, look what happened when the market opened. The stock literally gapped up, touched 27, started gapping down, right? Gapped up again, and look, it got rejected by that support level that had 2685 and tanked. And that's what you could have did if you had you listen to me and got a whole 1.5 shorten that. Now that's what I expect tomorrow to happen with ICHR and Roku too, which we'll talk about in a second. My thesis on this is that tomorrow we want to see the spike, because shorts are gonna cover, and hopefully it'll get rejected either by this 2470 level or into this 2523 level, and then you're gonna short risking off one of those levels. Now in theory, there is some overhead resistance here at this 2504 level, so it could get rejected there as well. So, but we want to see, you know, gap up and then you know, short into resistance. But you're gonna say, well, Omar, I like to go long. So if it went up above 24070 and held, could I go long it there? Yeah, absolutely. Just know that you got overhead resistance at this 25 level and this 2523 level. So these should be your targets and price, unless like there's so much volume that it just blows through and just keeps going. You know, I don't think it's gonna get back to 2598 tomorrow, but you know, that's another area you could potentially short off of. All right, or go long if it broke it and went, you know, and held. But that's what I would look to see for tomorrow. And then last but not least, Roku. Same premise. You know, my thesis is hopefully this is the beginning of a downward trend, and what we want to see is short sellers cover their position into the morning spike and get rejected. Now there's a lot of, you know, resistance here. So overhead resistance, I didn't mark it, but right into here, there's a lot of overhead resistance at this what is this, 3237 level. Oh, I'm sorry, 3171 level. And you see, as you can see right here, right? So yeah, 3261, 3260. So yeah, I would put 3260 level for potential. It may get rejected there too. So we want to see what's gonna happen. But if it breaks above these two levels and holds, in theory you could take it long, risking one of these levels, and looking at the next resistance level as your potential exit. So these are, I have them all mapped out here. As you can see, that's all you're looking for, guys, is consolidation points, or points where the stock bounced off. So you see, this is where, look, it bounced off this, gaps up, pulls back, bounced off this level here, and you can see 33.38 is the 33.39, 33.38 is the low, so I mapped it there, gaps up, breaks down, bounces off here at this 32.37 level, gaps up, breaks down. So, and if you notice here, when it broke down here and it gapped up, look, this area which was acting as support now acts as resistance, and you could have shorted. That's all it is, guys. I know that they try to make this, dude. So this strategy, this one here is my favorite. I like to short into resistance. Either spikes that happen like the day of. So E-Trade is fantastic. I have scanners here with Thinkorswim, but I can't lie to you, the E-Trade scanner is even better than any of these. You find those stocks that are moving like instantaneously, really, really great. So I've really been enjoying it. I just wish the charting was as good as Thinkorswim. Charting's not as good. But yeah, that's what I love to do, man. I love to short into resistance, and I love to short spikes. So for like example, I don't know if any stocks were spiking to for example, IZEA is a stock that I would have loved to have shorted, because as soon as I see the spike, what I immediately do is I look at the 1 year time frame and I start just mapping out my resistance line. So I go here, I would have clicked right here and mapped this out. And then if you notice, right, that 356 level, I would have saw, okay, there's a lot of consolidation here. So if it breaks, so I would have been watching this, and I would have saw it break above this, and as soon as it would have broke below this, I would have mapped a line here, and I saw it break below this, I would have shorted it, because I know there's a lot of overhead resistance here, and it would be very hard to hold this. And that's what I do. The key is that you got to catch it, so you need a scanner that catches it. E-Trade is great. It's been great. I've been catching things. I highly recommend opening an E-Trade account. It's $500 at a minimum. Even if you don't plan to trade in it, just so you can use the scanner, it's worth it. Anyway, folks, I know this video was long, and I know you get mad at me for saying that, but according to YouTube, you guys only average watching my videos 9 minutes, which is a shame. But I try to be entertaining. I can only do what I can. I don't have the bells and whistles like everyone else. I'll get more sophisticated with this. I just don't have the time. I have too much going on in my life. Anyway, folks, so have a great evening. Like, subscribe, share. Remember, guys, I am on Twitter as watchotrade. Now I got an Instagram, watchotrade, so follow me there. And also my YouTube channel, watchotrade. All right, guys, so have a great evening, and God bless. All right.